وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين وأصحابه المنتجبين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى قيام يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We often wonder when we are faced with the realities of this world and the challenges of this world as to where is God and why is there no intervention from God. And this leads often to a sense of skepticism and doubt in God, doubt of His existence, even though deep within ourselves and intuitively we recognize that there is a God and there must be a God. But events that unfold before our eyes that are so unjust, in which suffering is so ample and unnecessary, something prods away within us as to, well, where is God? Or is there God at all? Now, for the faithful, I can understand this is a challenge, but at points like these, the first thing we need to acknowledge is that we are in the folds of this life. There is a beautiful universe around us. It seems to be very intelligent and aware of itself. It seems to have catered for every one of our needs as a human species to live upon the face of this earth. Everything has been ripened, set right meticulously. It doesn't appear to be the handiwork of some great creator. In fact, it appears to be a display of that ineffable great being itself and Himself. That we are surrounded by this beauty, we are surrounded by this knowledge, and we are a part and parcel of it. And that is where we need to find God. Not as a creator who creates and puts things on this earth like the cattle and the camel and the human being, but the one who is so beyond it all, the one who reflects His beauty that then transpires to us as the world in which we abide, and the great universe beyond, the majestic universe that we find ourselves within. When we awaken to this, then we ask ourselves, well, what does God want from us, and what could He want from us? What does He not have? As one of the great Imams, Imam Hussain, I believe, gestures that, oh Allah, whatever I give to you is yours in any case. I have never come here with anything. I do not own anything. What possibly could you want from me? What can I give to you? O the one who is the sustainer and the nurturer of the vast universe that I can perceive, which is unending in itself. What possibly could I give you? You do not want any food, as the Quran says. You do not want any assistance, as the Quran says. You are needless, as the Quran explains. Even if everyone were to turn away from you, nothing would affect you. Your kingdom is not diminished by anybody's disobedience. What can I possibly give you, and what can I possibly take from you? Even my own being is yours and it belongs to you. So, O Lord, what is it that you could want from me? Then the religious mind then asks us to think, well, he asks us for devotion. And I ask again, well, what are a few prostrations going to do for God? What is my hunger going to do for God? What is this little charity going to do for God? Think about this very carefully. Hussain ibn Ali states in one of his du'as, O Allah, before the need arose, you gave me abundantly. Then you asked me to part with a little bit of what you have given me. As I gave to you, you multiplied it 70 times over and gave it back to me. O Lord, nothing leaves your kingdom. And then we merely need to ask ourselves that the gestures of generosity that we make in the way of God, we feed a stomach or two. There are 8 billion people in this world. Who is sustaining them? And then there is an animal kingdom around us. Who is sustaining them? And then there is a microbial kingdom around us. Who is sustaining them? And then there is marine life. Who is sustaining them? And then all of this is just this little earth, a speck of dust within the observable universe. Who is sustaining the universe at large? When we look at it this way, we see that no, God does not want anything from us that adds to His being. At this point, if we could just step back and become philosophical somewhat and say to ourselves, well, this life is here. I am in this life. I know that the world is alive to herself. I know this is the working of a great being that is ineffable. I can see the majesty of this being when I observe the universe above me. I am humbled. I see how I am being catered for. So this God is a kind, nurturing, loving God who does not want anything from me. So now, what could be the purpose of life? If we could enter the whole discussion from this way and then reflect slightly that whatever God asks of me is in actual fact for my own good, as the Quran says. And even if we were not to resort to spiritual scriptures, this is the meaning that will come to any mind that reflects, that the purpose of God from creating me is not a selfish purpose, but it is a purpose that is directly related to me and my well-being and my goodness. At this point then, we need to humble ourselves and say to Allah, O Lord, I know you are beyond it all. By definition, you are needless and you are caring. You are parental and you are loving. So I know whatever purpose there is in this world from my life is for me. It is something to do with me and for my own well-being. If we can arrive at this deduction within our minds through the assistance of scriptures, if need be, then we can surrender to the wisdom of God. And at such a point say to Allah, O Lord, I know that I cannot attribute any deficiency to you, for you are beyond it. I cannot attribute any malice to you. You cannot be anything but the most beautiful one, as is the yearning and the inner calling from the depth of my soul and my heart. So, O Lord, allow me now to surrender to your wisdom and to say that there is some deep and profound meaning in whatever is going on. And, O Lord, disclose that meaning for me and to me, and allow me to lead a meaningful life. Once we arrive at this position, and then we are faced with difficulties and hardships, as opposed to exclaiming, where is God and where is the intervention of God, to then take a different approach and say, oh Lord, I know whatever is happening has got some good in there for me. It is through your wisdom, your foreknowledge, and you allow it through your kindness and your parental care. And O Lord, therefore, as opposed to breaking under this pressure and hardship, what I will do is I will interact with it in a befitting manner. For that is something that I find adds to my existence. So as the beautiful Imam says that, oh Lord, when somebody abuses me, allow me not to spontaneously react to that situation and abuse them. Oh Lord, allow me at that point to persevere, to take on whatever is coming to me, to absorb it, and to become bigger than it, and in return to either offer an apology or a prayer. At this point, what happens is that suffering, instead of breaking us. They actually make us. The hardship brings out the inner human, which I term the godly being. When hunger strikes us, as opposed to crying out, "Oh God, where are you?" and you are not there, we say to God, there must be some deep purpose in there, for you do not need to keep me hungry. There must be some justification for this that I do not understand. For you are all kind and generous. You say in the Quran that you are generous, you are beyond just. Justice only means that you will not oppress anybody. So, O Lord, the hunger that I face has some deep meaning and opportunity within it. Rather than me stealing, lying, cursing, swearing, doubting in you and cursing your creatures, O Allah, allow me to bear it with patience, so that there comes a time when sustenance and hunger does not make me, does not break me, but I am able to withstand hunger, absorb it, and become bigger than it. O Lord, when enemies face me, allow me not to cry or to crumble. Allow me to love them instead, want the best for them. For this is what your blessed Prophet taught. He was the poorest of the people because he had to live in accordance with the ones that were worst off in his community. He was the one who was most hated with most enemies. He was the one who faced the most hardships. But hunger, hardship, and enemies made him the grand soul that he became. He grew through hardships and difficulties, to the extent that when he had the largest land under his control, he still did not have anything to his personal ownership. When he died a poor man. And to the extent that when the bitterest of his enemies faced him, he just said, "You are free in the way of Allah." To the extent that at the peak of his success, he recites your verse, "O God, that indeed God has created you from a man and a woman, so that, and of different cultures and languages, so that by mutual interaction you may come to realize that the best amongst you in the sight of God is the one who is most God-like." O Lord, this despite having an army unending under his control, the greatest wealth and the greatest plot of land. This is how he ends his life. Not by saying that his followers predominate over others. No. O Lord, when I look at this man, I realize that hardship and suffering are actually an opportunity for me, based on a bargain that I have made with you, to bring me to the fullest of my existence. So, O Lord, allow me to be insightful and wise. When I face hardship, that I take hold of your hand and your firm grip and rope and go through them and become a greater being, a one that draws nearer to the objective that you desire through those hardships. We will continue with this theme in the next khutbah. But for now, let us pray a Surah Fatiha for all those beloved souls who have gone before us, regardless of the religious persuasion or no religious persuasion. They are all the beautiful specks of the light of our most beloved Lord. And then similarly, let us pray Fatiha for the well-being of all those who are in strained circumstances, and for the recovery of all those who are unwell and sick. Quite a few people have died in the last week, including a cousin sister of mine, and a father-in-law of a dear student of ours. Let us pray Fatiha for all of them and for the well-being of the world and for the cure of all those who are unwell. Al-Fatiha. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. أما بعد السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Continuing from the first khutbah. Now the suffering that we encounter are of two types. One that affect us at a personal level, and one that affect us indirectly in the sense that they affect the world at large. And through the world, they affect us. The obvious examples are the state of poverty of the world. Now here we ask God, well, where are you? On the other hand, we reflect and we say, well, God is most wise and needless and does not need to punish. He is the generous one. He doesn't lose anything. Why would he withhold sustenance? So here then comes an invitation. Well, maybe it is my duty to be the godly hand and to feed the hungry, and for me to realize my inner godliness and to create a virtuous society in which nobody suffers from poverty. And that is the greatest opportunity at hand. In this way, if we were to look at the du'as, Allahumma, when we say, Ashba'a kulla jaya' in the month of Ramadan, oh Allah, feed all those who are hungry, we know for a fact that when we make this dua, Allah makes a means for us to be sustained. We attribute that to Allah, but the physical means is the human means. We need to become insightful that the sufferings of this world are something through which God intends us to grow through. And that the sufferings of the world are our problem and we are supposed to resolve them. So when we talk about God's involvement and removal of the suffering, in fact we are talking about our involvement in the removal of the suffering as the hand of God and intervention of God. If only we could get this right, that we are the divine intervention. So when we talk about poverty, the human mind is immediately supposed to make this judgment that poverty is an unbefitting societal condition. It's a cancer. And it is the duty of the human beings to remove poverty, to create systems after which everybody is fed. Nobody is left poor. But then the human mind needs to go beyond it. That the removal of poverty is not by giving charity, but by enabling every person to earn in a dignified way so that their dignity is not undermined. So at one point we are seeing this godly evolution within us, whereas one point we took great satisfaction and pride in feeding the poor. Now we frown upon the thought of giving handouts to the poor. Instead, what we want to create means in which the poor do not feel obliged that they are being given to, but they feel, no, they are worthy creatures and they are earning. This is most in keeping with their human dignity. And that is what God wants. He says in the Quran, do not give in the way of God to the poor and then oblige them. It is better to give a polite refusal than to undermine an individual's dignity. So the sufferings of the world are not only an opportunity for us to realize our inner godliness, but again are an instance for us to reflect, to step back and to say, well, this human community is actually one being. It is my family. It is my dignity. It is my society. I cannot bear for anyone to starve. 2, I cannot bear anyone to feel obliged. I cannot withstand anybody's dignity being undermined. This is how we should feel. So at one point, we used to feel good giving people handouts. Today, we do not feel good about it. We feel, no, we are not doing them any favor. It's not us and them. They need to be sustained in a way that they are not being sustained. But they are worthy of that and they are contributing in return. That is how human dignity ought to dictate. Similarly, when we look at wars and the destruction abound, we are not supposed to say to God, where are you? We are supposed to say to ourselves, we are the cause of this war. If we just think about it, if I take a knife and recklessly start brandishing it about, and at that point then I turn it and cut my face, and then I cry and call out to God, oh God, where are you? And then I look at the scar for the rest of my life and have a bitter feeling towards God. That is unjust. I need to control my own self. I need to stop killing. It is not a question of God intervening, it's a question of me introducing godliness within my own self. On that note, when the tsunami came, it took 100,000. And people pointed fingers as to where is God. In Syria, Iraq, we have killed 1 million. We have ruined Syria. No earthquake, no tsunami could have caused such devastation. Iraq, Middle East, look at what we have done. All we had to do was to stop killing each other. No natural event takes as many lives as what our own warring tendencies do. This is not a question of saying, God, where are you? It's a question of saying, human being, where are you? Why have you fallen asleep? You are doing this to yourself. And then you're asking for the intervention of God. The intervention of God in this instance is His non-involvement, so that we awaken. We can't keep on telling children, don't fight or I'll do this, and don't fight or I'll do that. Sometimes you just let them fight, so that they come to realization that this is an unbefitting state. So the second part of suffering is the societal suffering. Again here, when we look at God, He is waiting for us to be His agents and to display His beauty at the human level and to bring the whole society to the fullness of its existence, rid injustice, oppression, transgression, poverty, ignorance, lack of education. God's intervention is through the human mind. And I'll finish with this. And as human beings, we have been growing from our inception. And we have reached this stage now where we are beginning to discover a most splendid and beautiful God. The one who does not wave a magic wand because He no longer needs to, but the one who takes pride in the human beings who have now graduated from the school of life. That now no longer will I send prophets, you have graduated. Now I will take pride. No more Gabriel is going to come. You will be my hand, who then brings about goodness upon the face of this earth. Not only will you sort out your human family, but you will become a force of godliness and nurture the animal kingdom and this earth. With that, I finish our second khutbah and bid everybody a blessed day of Friday. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammadin al-Mustafa wa ala Aliyin al-Murtada wa ala Fatimat al-Zahra wa ala al-Hasan al-Mujtaba wa al-Husayn al-Shahid bi Karbala. وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي وحجة الله بن الحسن القائم المهدي المنتظر عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا الله